Russell Wilson has been traded to the Denver Broncos. Tom Pelissero reports that there is a deal in principle to send 9-time Pro Bowl quarterback Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos. In exchange for...
All right, back now with you on Total Access with breaking news out of Green Bay. We go straight to Tom Pelissero on the details of what's going on with Devontae Adams, who expect the Raiders are acquiring him from the Packers. All right.
Hello and happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Wild Wild West podcast. My name is RichiRichEh, and to my left is Capt. Jack.
Oh shoot, I didn't get it.
You played yourself.
I jinxed it.
And that is Captain Jack, who has now figured out left from right. Welcome to the show tonight. Alex, how are you?
I got to do that. Okay, see, it's got to be obvious.
I can't even. Oh, I got it. All right.
Oh, good job.
That's part about being down below. You just do that. We're good.
True. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Can't mess that one up.
I can do this too. Don't worry. I'm gonna talk about that guy's team, and I'm also gonna talk about. Let me see. He's over there, so I gotta go. I gotta go that way. I gotta talk about something from him, but we'll do that later.
And last but not least, we are going to round out with intros with Coach Defense from the Lockdown Defense podcast. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How you doing?
I am excellent. For those of you who are recognizing that my backdrop and everything else around me here is a little bit different, today was my moving day.
Land.
And
we're moving on up.
I finished moving. Oh God!
George, where's Wheezy?
Hey, and I am not going to be Bentley in this scenario. Okay, I'm not the old English guy.
My knowledge only goes to the intro song.
Oh, that's all you got. That's all you got.
Listen to me with the rest of this.
So
hey,
I
Rosalie says. Yeah, Rosalie says congratulations on your move. You can't see that because it's on probably on my Facebook. So
yeah, I can see it. Thank you, Rosalie. I do see the comment there. Appreciate it. I finished moving at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard, so that's about an hour ago.
And you got the studio set up as well. Good job.
Grind never stops.
That's right.
The grind is always going.
So I had internet here when I first got here and got the studio set up so I could kick this off for tonight's show. It's pretty sweet. And you're right, DZ. I am a
yes, sir.
Yeah. There can be some fun here. I also happen to have a pool in the backyard, which is screaming to have a hot tub added beside it.
I think you need kind of that. You need that White Goodman style painting behind you of you holding the bull by the horns. You know, What's just,
I like it.
That just really brings it all together.
It does. It does. I like it. But he's also saying that you hear the subtle flex about pool and the hot tub, right? So we know the Wild Wild West podcast will be broadcasting live in the summertime from Canada and Richie's new place. So I just want to let it be known right now. Let it be known that we're taking a road trip. New master plan.
I'd say, yeah, if you got a hot tub and a pool, as long as it's and we can do a show from up there, but obviously it's got to be nice and the weather's got to be checked. But make sure it has room for 8, because I don't know about Coach's +1 or Alex's +1, but I'll find a +1, and then we have a big +8. We'd have a big football hot tub with +1s. I like that. I'm there. I'm there.
And notice
Cap just went into party mode.
Yeah, he is. Party bus. See, Cap is the furthest south, so he can pick us up on the way, and then we'll just ride up to Camp.
Boom.
And there it is. See how that works?
Tito.
Oh, you're late.
Nah, Tito, you're late.
You're late.
Yeah. So this is going to be an interesting podcast. There's been some news with the Raiders, which I know I'm likely going to be asked about. Matthew here has brought it up, and I know Captain's interested as well. Captain, as you probably are aware, I've already tweeted a few things. Does this talk? Well, any hot tub as a minimum needs to seat 8, and really you're better off going for a 12-seater.
Well, no, it can seat 4 because the babes can be, on top.
Now
Just
we're
saying.
to the real meat and potatoes.
The podcast is starting now.
He wanted to call it a football party. He meant an orgy.
It's only 7:40. This is not the after-hour show yet.
Only fans don't start till 10.
Yeah. So, we should probably just get right into it, Captain. Do you want to maybe kick off with the Raiders week, and we can kind of go from there?
You mean the resurrection of
the Raiders had a long week.
Mayfield?
You know what? I will answer that. In that, in fact, there's a couple different things that I can answer. I don't know if I was on record stating this, but that was a game that actually scared me last Wednesday. It's a game that when you're supposed to win by a whole bunch of points, shite, I'm going to use the old English term, usually happens. Raiders came out, played horribly overall. Okay. Jacobs had his wonderful good game as always. He's hurt himself, and he was actually, when he was in practicing today, he was in a no-contact jersey. Speaking of practice, both Waller and Renfro were back at practice today, but that's for later things. But I did not have that as a walkover game. I did not, okay? Because I defy anybody to tell me I did. They, should be winning by a lot does not always encapsulate into that. I will say this, though, and I defy anybody to tell me that I am wrong, but if Max Crosby gets held every freaking play and they don't call a flag, that sucks. Especially when the Raiders defense had them held to 3 points up to the midway point of the quarter, and the officials really had their way with making sure things were going on. Yeah, Cleve Farrell jumped off sides. That was a bonehead play. Kept the Rams into that first touchdown, which, by the way, the guy never crossed the goal line. And I, again, defy anybody to tell me I'm wrong on that one. His back was there, but his ball was not there. The other thing is that, again, Crosby was held on the winning touchdown. Actually, no, let me rephrase it. He was molested, mugged, and taken all his lunch money away from him on both that play along with the other another first down play that was, and it's obvious. I am not bitching when it's obvious, and when Mike Florio and other people even say the same thing, then I know that that people are actually watching how horribly it was officiated. Yes, the Raiders did not play well, but when you give the game away on calls that should really be called, if it's holding in the first quarter, it should be holding in the fourth quarter. I defy that. So again, yeah, it was one of those. Hey, let me see. It's 16-3 on the Monday night game with he who shall not be named, and then he gets 2 touchdowns at the end of the game. Lo and behold, Baker, who just came in off of the party bus, who knew enough of the playbook, and he played well. I'm not taking anything away from Baker Mayfield. He played well. Okay. Thank you, DZ. And that's another thing I was going to talk about. In the rule book, when you slap the ball or do anything, you know what, Coach? I'm going to say it. You better get your sensors ready. Fuck you. Okay. When you hit the ball, it is a delay of game penalty, a 5-yard penalty, not a personal foul. Not a personal, it's delay of game. And that penalty came from the Raider Charger game where Mike Airtime Carey screwed up a game when the Raiders played the Chargers and the receiver did something, and that's where that came from. It's delay a game, not a personal foul. So instead of a first down, it still would have been a 4th down, and the game could, and all intents and purposes, could have been over. It would have been, instead of 4th and forever, it would have been 4th and forever -5. Okay, that's another thing. Okay, the penalty on Amick Robertson for defensive pass interference, that's legit penalty. But there are other things that were playing in there that I defy anybody to say how screwed up it was. And again, Coach, respectfully, F you. I toned it down. I didn't actually say it. F you. F you.
Sweet karma.
It's not the guy.
The
guy played
Hillary.
What does he say in Jurassic Park?
Like
life finds a way, right?
It does. No. Sweet vindication. Enjoy that waiver pickup.
Yeah, he's vindicated. He made. You know what? He made a bonehead play, but he still might be the best waiver pickup that we had because he helped us win the last 3 games minus that. It was a bonehead play. It was. I don't take anything off of that, but the officials need to call it correctly instead of screwing up the flow. And that is what I'm saying. It was effed up. And by the way, Matt was also held in the end zone when they were going for it again, which would have been a safety and a kick, and the game is over at that point as well. That's another time he was held. But that's okay. They had the agenda. They had the agenda, and it went through.
So I do want to just jump into the chat a little bit here and just thank some of our fans for joining us this evening. We have Rager Kojo, Avatar, Jacob, Lafayette, Kamani Dixon. We also have DZ, a longtime listener. Thank you for joining again, DZ, and Avatar as well. We have Rosie, Tito, Fast Eddie, Matthew.
Yeah, what Jacob?
I already said, Jacob, I already said that the Raiders did not play well. I said that. That was the first words out of my mouth. And I am I right? Did I say that? Hey, I call him right. I call him square.
Oh man. Lovely day. Lovely day. I just want to
that was good. That got me good.
That was good. Thank you. Oh man. All right.
So you've had some injuries as well, Captain, in terms of some players not making it through and needing to backfill. So I think it'll be very interesting to see what you guys do with some of, well, in particular the Moody acquisition. I do want to get through the recap of this past week's games. I do want to get into a little bit of that just because there's obviously some crossover between the Raiders and the Broncos. I also know that some of our fans are quite curious as to my thoughts on Moody as well. We'll touch on that as soon as we're done the recaps of last week's games, and we'll get into some of the other news around the team and league.
Kamani, this is an AFC West show, not just the Raiders, so don't worry.
Oh no, this is a full roundtable of the AFC West. So you
can't leave now that you're here. Hotel California, baby.
So, Coach,
sir,
let's dive right into the Chargers game because I have a funny feeling Alex and I will go maybe a little
I'm going to say something too.
On ours.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So, do you want to dive right into the Chargers game and give us a bit breakdown what you saw, what you liked, what you didn't, etc.?
Well, I mean, again, I guess it's just sweet vindication weekend. Jerry Tilley cost the Raiders a game, and Justin Herbert completely outclassed Tua Tagovailoa on Sunday night. So I'm feeling pretty good right now. I had to rehash how good I was feeling all the weekend. I was kind of flying. I was kind of floating. But anyway, the game itself. I mean, I was sitting comfortably while Cap was ranting. So let me let me get back to my.
Oh wait, I still got another rant to go. Don't worry.
I'm sure you do. You're full of rants. That's what
this
that little
game
is. Captain Rant Rackham.
We call them little scurvies.
Little scurvies. That's his rap name. Little scurvies.
No, it's Big Jack Scurvy. Get it right.
Okay.
Little scurvy, instead of spitting bars, spits to blooms.
Little scurvies.
And I tell you, Eddie took my thunder. Eddie took my thunder because I was going to get into that as well.
Little scurvy. That's so funny. Oh man. So the Chargers game, in grandiose fashion, it was back and forth towards the end. But I definitely like how we came out and played. Now I'm gonna say that was before I get into the analytics of what happened, right, or the brass tacks of what happened with the game. I had a feeling that the game's gonna go one of two ways. It was gonna go really bad for us, really good for us, or really bad. Now, lo and behold, or not beknownst to many, but a lot of people don't realize that Justin Herbert, along with everybody else on the team that hold Justin Herbert in high regard, were really motivated for this game. They circled this game on their calendar because of all the talk and all the, I guess you can say, criticism that Justin Herbert has been getting. It is really one person. Exactly. He sparked a riot on social media, Instagram and Twitter, going on this show every day talking about how Justin Herbert is a social media quarterback. The man is not even on social media, but whatever. But regardless of that, they circled this game on the calendar and they were primed and ready for this game because they knew they had something to prove. They knew that they had to prove the doubters wrong and say that all this fake hype about Tua to being better than Justin Herbert because they were saying dream draft class drafted behind each other, this, that, and the third. They had something to prove. So it was a highly motivated game for us. So, despite the records, despite the, the success that they've had and we hadn't, or whatever you want to, paint the picture as, I would definitely say that if for sure was a motivated game and they were highly focused for it. On top of the fact that I think that Brandon Staley had a really good game plan and he took a page out of the 49ers book and how to defend this Dolphins team. So then this is what you get into when you get into the later part of the season, when people have film on you and they understand what you like to do. They really want to honestly and truly take away what you like to do best. And Miami Dolphins have been slow to react to that. Because if they understood exactly what would happen in the 49ers game, they might have done a few things differently. But maybe they took the Chargers lightly, maybe they didn't, because of how bad their defense have been playing overall. They felt like they were going to basically be back to the status quo and allow for them to do what they do best or do what they wanted to do offensively, which wasn't the case. So again, having film on the team matters. So they played a lot of style defense like the 49ers did. And they blanketed the middle of the field. They played what you call a disguise cover one, a disguise cover two, and sometimes they gave a disguise cover two and went into a cover two man look. So they did a lot of different disguising that basically took away the areas of the field that Tua likes the best. And understanding that he has let's be honest here, he's not a highly skilled strong arm quarterback when it comes to getting the ball into places that requires a lot of timing, velocity, and power when it comes to throwing the ball. So you take away the middle of the field, which is the easy place to get to when you want to throw the ball. That's the easiest place to get to. You take away that part. You blanket and you bracket his two main receivers. They made it tough, and I'm highly proud of the way they defended the run as well. They definitely came up and played good run lanes, good rush lanes, good. They had really good disciplined rush fits in this game, which was definitely a plus, which we've been lacking for the whole entire season, maybe 2 seasons at this moment. So it gives me hope that there's light at the end of the tunnel where we can kind of get past this idea of them being highly talented, but never ever truly, live up to it. So there's hope there. But again, I think that part of this win was based upon the fact they were highly motivated because he was facing Tua and they wanted to prove a point. But to also come out and be highly motivated and to execute a game plan to a T against this team, which is a high-powered offense up to this point, is definitely a feather in the cap to Brandon Staley and the personnel we had, because we not only were missing Sebastian Joseph Day, we're missing our anchor, our best defensive player in Derwin James. He wasn't playing. So, Bryce Callahan was out as well. So we missed a lot of what happened when it came down to personnel. So we were lacking personnel, and we were lacking, like I said, our best player on defense, and the D-line was ultimately, a makeshift practice squad. So
Cap wants to play his violins, but spent his whole time talking about the refs.
Yeah. So, but yet again, I definitely appreciated the fact that they executed the game plan well. And we had our 2 best receivers on the field for the first time and for a whole game in this entirety of the year. And you can see what Justin Herbert can do when he has people to throw to that can catch the ball and get open. So overall, I like the game plan. I wish it was they could have scored a little more in the second part of the, I guess you say third quarter, when they had a few opportunities. They kind of went 3 and out. And then when Tyree got that 1 touchdown, then they were like, okay, now we got to get back into it and get down the field and score again. So typical, heart, a lot of heart palpitations, a lot of blood pressure rising with the Chargers, but that's the life of a Chargers fan in a sense. So yeah, overall I like the game, but like I said, it was a motivating factor, and I'm hoping that we can build on this and not let that be a high moment and then we come back down to our normal status of what we've been playing. But we'll see come Sunday. But I definitely like the way how they execute it. Now, in regards to this,
be a politician when he grows up, because he glossed over the obvious question, just went right around it, ignored it. Coach, I'm sure that you will be a great politician in the state of Virginia or Maryland or wherever the hell you run, because that was deftly handled. Another golf clap for that, for the bullshit you just avoided, because and I know, even when the NFL says it was a effing non-roughing the passer call, but you just sidestepped it, just like the guy in the movie Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. The only thing that you were missing was the hat going this way and your head going that way, and to do the sidestep the issue. Again, okay. Foxtrot uniform.
Okay, are you done?
Yes, I'm done now.
We somehow veered left and went into show tunes.
I don't know, but regardless, I was going to address it and jump in. But the roughing the passer call. I mean, we can harp on that, but let's be real. That's not the first or the last call they've been that blew a game for other people. Now that particular call did not win the game or lose the game for the Chargers. Let's be real about that. Let's start there first and foremost. So yeah, that call. We can nitpick and we can split hairs about penalties and non-penalties. Keenan Allen got held or completely tackled in the Raiders game last week. I didn't mention that, So again, penalties happen. I'm not going to say it did a good job. It didn't do a good job. The point is, the game, that particular call, unlike the Tom Brady call, that ultimately extended the drive and allowed them to win a game, that's more damaging than the call that we had.
That's what I'm talking about. That call at that time was so pivotal in what happened. It stopped what would have been a punt, if I'm not mistaken. It would have been a downs turned over to the Miami, and instead of that, you losing the ball on that, the Chargers continued to drive. It's not the penalties per se, it's what they are and when they are in the flow of the game. You call a friggin' safety on a penalty against Max Crosby, it's 2 points and the Raiders get the ball, game's over. Okay. If you call a holding on any of those things, the play is changed. It's what the penalty is and when it is called or non-called. And that's my point. That penalty was pivotal against the Dolphins. It was pivotal, and the NFL said the same thing today.
Of course, they cleaned it up after the fact, but the other has to realize that we didn't score in that drive. So it didn't cost us points like again in the Buccaneers game or your game, for instance. It didn't we didn't gain any points from that. We ended up getting the ball back to them anyway. Just a field position change. It was a field position change, yes, because we kicked the ball. We had to punt the ball further down the field and have them drive longer. But we didn't score in that drive. So we scored in that drive. Yes, have all your gripes what you want because it actually affected the game. We scored points off of that. But we got a first down, but we still subsequently punted in that same drive. Go back and look at the film.
Okay.
Bottom line.
But it did flip the field, though, did it not?
Yeah, but I mean, the same brain, they had moved the ball on this outside of 2 bonehead plays the whole game. Tyreek's fumble, they scored on, and the one long play that Mike Davis fell down. Outside of that, they didn't have any offense. So the percentages say they still wouldn't have moved the ball in that regard anyway if they had a shorter field. So, and then their kicker, they can't kick balls over 50 yards. The commentator even said it. He struggles with field goals over 50 yards. So, I mean, the percentages say they probably wouldn't have got points anyway. So it wasn't as damaging as people want to make it out to be, or they just want to throw shade on the fact that we had a penalty go our way for a chance. We've had plenty of things that had not gone our way, and we're not bitching about it.
No, I will harp on, and I will harp on any penalty that is egregious, whether it's for the Raiders, for the Chargers, for the Chiefs, for the Broncos. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed a team. For the Garglers, I will make sure that I am an aficionado.
You said Chargers first.
You can't revert back. You said
I know. I threw it at you.
You can't take back,
so
man.
You weren't waiting for it at the end. I snuck it in on you, okay? Because I knew you were waiting for it at the end. I took care of it.
You came back. It's okay, though. It's okay.
The sneak attack.
So, Captain, there are only 4 teams in our division.
Exactly.
Yes. I
wanted to throw it out there.
We know what he got in that class.
There's the Chigarglers.
The Garglers.
The Chigarglers, the Chiefs, or the Ketchup and Mustard crew, aka the Donkeys, and the Scalawags. I'll give one for y'all. Okay, I'll give one of those for y'all.
So I think we should probably go into the Chiefs game.
We should.
There's been a few comments in the chat.
Wow, Jacob, that's a good one.
No, I did call Jacob full of shit because I said that stopped the game. From that point on, it was a fumble. It was a bad call. And from that point on, the game was shifted because the officials gave every call they could. Every makeup call was going the Chiefs' way. You are incorrect, sir. I stated it was a bad call. It should have went the Chiefs' way. You're wrong,
Jacob.
Sir. Go back and look at
You're
my
wrong,
tape.
Jacob. Get out of here.
No.
Nobody wants you here.
No, don't
Jacob.
get out of here. Just take. No, don't get out of here. Bring more people with you, but just.
So before Alex and I go in, and before Alex decides to try to have people leave the show, which I don't know why we'd ever want that.
No, don't go.
I know he won't leave. It's the only reason I did it.
Yeah, but on a different note, perhaps a more positive one. For those of you who are joining us this evening, it is a great help to all of our channels if you click that like button down below the video, especially on YouTube. And the other thing that we haven't spoken about in a little bit is despite Twitter going through changes, they still have not fixed their direct streaming and message integration into the chat. Man. So the unfortunate piece is if you are on Twitter and you are watching us there, thank you. But if you'd like to leave a comment or have us recognize your comment or even read it off and in any of those sorts of things, please jump over to YouTube and or Facebook where we can see all of your comments and answer them if you would like to make one.
Yeah, get it together, Elon.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, really, what happened was when the Twitter Periscope platform that was there, they had Periscope that was linked into Twitter, and that was enabling that direct connection where we could actually get the chats and stuff in all of the streaming platforms here.
Oh.
And then as soon as they got rid of Periscope, all of that went away. So
that'll do it.
So, Alex,
yeah,
I have to say that was at least an interesting game. I think
it was a weird game.
I don't think anyone. It looked completely lopsided when everything first started. Where I was like, oh well, my predictions, going to come true. And then the Broncos, to their credit, rallied back and frankly made a game out of it.
Who was that quarterback y'all had?
Brett Rippon.
Boise State, baby.
Got it through the 3 touchdowns before getting a concussion.
Oh yeah. Well, it's almost like someone jumped in a time machine and remembered that their skill set is to scramble a little bit and move around in the pocket, scramble out of the pocket, and then make a play. And
he also threw a touchdown to Willie Gay, so that was cool.
Yeah,
that play was amazing.
That play was sick.
That play was amazing. Like that's most athletic play I've seen linebacker.
Also, for as weird of a game it was, I just would like to point out that Richie said last week Juju would not have a catch. I believe that he had over 20 fantasy points, so he was not shut down.
Oh,
well, who did he go against?
I don't know. I mean, I think he went through a plethora of people.
Plethora. Good college word.
But yeah, no, that was a. I don't know how else to describe it other than a weird game, and to me, trying to be as objective as you can, I think that they kind of put the brakes on, and it was like they stopped caring because I mean, at least 2 of the picks Mahomes threw were throws you would not see him make if the game's on the line, and it was Surtain. That's right. Although he did have a pretty amazing interception that in real time I did not think was an interception, but it most definitely was.
Oh, the one we thought he scooped off the ground. He actually
that was
pretty good. Pretty good pick.
I was trying to real time convince myself that it hit the ground, but could not be done. Yeah,
nuts.
But
I missed the Willie Gay play. I'm sorry, I was watching other things. I think I was watching the fake Pirates get demolished by the Niners. So please enlighten me. I apologize.
Fake Pirates.
Well, Willie Gay had a pretty sick, kind of in the flat. Russell tried to throw it right over the top of him. He tipped it to himself and housed it.
Yeah, he had a one-handed kind of tip and kind of passed back to himself to catch it, and then just ran it right back to the house.
Yeah. How tall is Willie Gay? He looks a little short.
I think he's like 6. I mean, he's got to be like 6'1". He can't be any bigger than that.
Taller than that, yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, he's a pretty solid player too.
He is. No, he definitely is. I was just curious because he looks. Because I'm
looking right now.
Nick Bolton,
6'1", 243.
Hey, see, there you go. How tall is that Nick Bolton? He's short too, isn't he?
Nick Bolton, I think, is like 6 foot.
Yeah. They were standing side by side, and they looked pretty much the same height. So I was like, okay.
Nick Bolton is 5'11", so he's probably like 5'9" real life.
No, go ahead. Right, no cleats.
Yeah, that's the program height. You got to knock at least 2 inches off that.
Be the guy as 2 inches and more. Not more.
I need that. I'm sorry. I used to be 6 foot, but I'm doing that old person shrinkage, so now I'm down to 5'11" and a half.
That's scoliosis.
He was in the pool.
Yeah, in the pool.
Answer your question though, DZ. I don't think that they're in cruise control, but I've talked to some other friends of mine, the Chiefs fans, about this, but it's like their games go one or two ways. They get a super early lead, put points on just in like massive amounts, and then just go away. and then it like becomes a game, or they somehow get a decently deep deficit behind pretty early on, and then just like out of nowhere crawl right back into it. There's really no in between unless they're playing like the Bills or the Bengals or those are really the two biggest opponents they've played. In those games, you could just tell a difference in how they played. There wasn't any wasted drives or running plays. Everything was to the scheme and everything was close. They were protecting the ball. They weren't being lazy with plays. So I think it's just against different teams, and you can see that it bites them in the ass too. Like in the Colts very early on. They played that the same way but didn't have it figured out enough offensively at that point to be able to come back. But that's just kind of how they've been in the Mahomes era, even like in their first playoff run. I think the divisional round against the Deshaun Watson Texans, ironically enough, they were down 21-0. I remember sitting there like, oh, this is stupid. Like, we're even worse than last year. Came right back. So I just think that when they at this point, they're, just focusing on staying healthy and, playing. Because they have a pretty decent record. They're 5-2 against the current playoff teams right now. So, obviously they bring a different level when they play those types of opponents, and you don't see the games like what happened, Sunday. Credit to the Broncos for figuring stuff out a little bit offensively, but at the same time, when Mahomes gives you two red zone possessions, it's hard not to figure out some stuff on offense. But Broncos do have a solid defense. If they, I think those matchups are going to be totally different next year once they figure out everything offensively and get the people in they want for their, what they're going to run, or the new coach, maybe. I don't know. But, I never really thought that they were going to lose it. I definitely was sweating, though. So there was definitely a danger that they would, but I didn't think that they would. But I also didn't think Mahomes would throw 3 picks. And, yes, I did see the Josie Jewell one. that was kind of like a freak play, in my opinion, because dude should not have been able to react like that from where he was responding. But
in fairness, he's not had a game like that before. like that was a career game for Josie Jewell. And for those of you who don't know, his nickname is the Outlaw.
He's a Hawkeye.
Yeah. So
Judy going off, that was good. After he was very visibly upset.
And I'm pretty sure that he instigated that whole brawl at the end of the game too.
Yep, suspend him. I knew it.
Sadly, I don't actually know what happened at the very end there, but there was definitely some jawing. There's definitely some extra scrapping, or as you sometimes hear the announcers, there's some extracurriculars going on after that one.
Giving them the business.
There was but you also get those. I feel like those extracurriculars,
divisional,
more or less always happen in divisional games.
Yeah.
Especially in the Raiders ones, but those are usually with the fans in the parking lot.
So the one thing
that I knew I liked
the one thing that I think needs to really be highlighted is that the Broncos yet again really gave Patrick Mahomes fits on the defensive side. Well, you got picked off 3 times?
You still had 352 and 3 touchdowns.
Sure.
With sack twice.
Sure. So I think the one thing that we saw differently in this game compared to, say, when Fangio was our head coach and he kind of had his scheme implemented, I think Fangio had a better approach to kind of locking points down against Mahomes. But I think what the problem that we see in Fangio's, at least just overall, was the fact that he didn't have the offense to even come close. And I think KC had a better answer for our offense, which basically negated the fact that Fangio was basically killing it in terms of the defensive side. We have Evero now, who is kind of putting some of our guys in the right spots where they're able to make plays. We saw Josie Jewell with the 2 picks. And aside from those 2 picks, because I don't want to harp on that because those aren't going to happen all the time, right? But I think what you need to also look at is between Singleton and Jewell, they're just tackling all over the field.
Yeah, no, Jewell's pretty good. I've always liked him. I mean, those Iowa linebackers, dude, they're always if I feel like if a linebacker from Iowa makes it to the NFL and is there for two plus years, they're usually pretty good. Like your Chad Greenways, guys like that. I mean, that's just a school known to produce some LBs. And Jewell, I think, what's he like 5 years in now?
Yeah.
I mean, he's been there for a minute. I've always liked him though. But yeah, he was everywhere. It was kind of annoying.
The one thing that Jewell, just interestingly enough in that game, and just overall, I'm actually not a huge Josie Jewell fan, generally speaking. I find that he is a little too slow, and I think that he's finally got some of his twitch back from his injury, which is good because he was struggling there for quite some time. And so it was nice to see him, come out and actually show out again, because it really was an issue for him for a little while there where he got hurt and then he was never able to come back and be the same. Now we're starting to see him. He's got the mental, and now the physical is starting to match some of the mental that he's able to put on the field, and you're able to see a game just like what you saw against the Chiefs. I do want to touch on a comment earlier about Russell Wilson. I actually do kind of agree with that, where, in my opinion, I think that if Wilson had not gotten hurt, I do think that the outcome of that game would have been a little different. I believe that Wilson came out and wanted to use this as the game to say, yes, I still know how to play. And I think it's pretty hard to disagree with that when you see the product and kind of what was put on the field. And, he was doing Russell Wilson things that he used to do when he was in Seattle, where he would try to stay in the pocket. He'd try to climb the pocket, but if the play kind of broke down a little bit, he'd kind of do his rollouts and then expand to see the field and then make a throw, make a play, that sort of thing. And that's what we're all used to seeing with Russell Wilson over the years. The other thing that we saw from him this game against the Chiefs was he started throwing better anticipatory throws. That's another college word there, Coach. And that's why you saw Jerry Jeudy have the game that he did, because that's when Jerry Jeudy actually does well, is when you start leading him as he's making a cut, or as he's breaking just on the break of his route. If you're able to place the ball right in front of him to have him run to it, that's the type of pass, and that's the type of throw that Jeudy really excels with. And then the other thing we saw is deep balls. Russell Wilson has been horrendously inaccurate on those this season, and he started connecting on those, and that makes a huge difference. There wasn't. I think it's also relevant, and we may as well just kind of, cover it off here. There was a comment on whether or not, in my opinion, Wilson will be with the Broncos next year, or whether or not the ownership is just going to kind of cut bait and move on. I'm not convinced that they're going to cut bait and move on. I think that there's going to be a sit down to say, you are not a pocket passer, so stop trying to be one. And if he says, no, I want to be a pocket passer, then I think ownership may actually, maybe move in that kind of a direction to cut bait from him in some way.
Was he signed to his extension before they sold the team, like officially bought the team?
No, they already bought the team.
Yeah,
they had bought the team, and then they got the extension
Right
after they
after
bought the team.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was like kind of like the last previous owners, like last FU, like here, I'm going to sign this guy to a fat deal.
No, it wasn't like a.
But like I'm sure when that amount of money's being tossed around, like those moves don't get made without people knowing. But
no, but the other problem that you have with Russell's deal is it's got that Aaron Rodgers kind of layout.
I think they
sit
down with him and say, "Here, man, here's what you're being paid with in range with what these other QBs are getting paid. Here are their stats from last year. Here are yours. Take a pay cut or you're out. Restructure."
Well, I have a different opinion on it. I think that you have to look at both sides of it, especially when they have invested way more money in Russell than they have in their coach. So we've seen the current trend is the fact that they will bring in multiple coaches to make a quarterback work that you feel like or have seen work in other arenas before they cut bait with a quarterback. Because outside of this year, we've all seen Russell do great things and have great production. His level of production has been good all the way up to this particular point. So, and only different common denominator here is the fact that he's a different coach, different organization. So I would like to believe they were bringing 2 or 3 more coaches to make him work before they cut bait with Russell, because especially for the next 2 years, it's way too punitive to cut bait and eat all that dead money and move on from him that fast when you only have a season's worth of work under his belt. So I think that they would move on from the coach before they move on from Russell.
And the word is, I believe, and Rich, you may far be it from me for being incorrect, but isn't the conjecture that the hottest seat in the NFL is Hackett's seat?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly what a lot of people are saying. I'm not sure I necessarily agree that Hackett's seat is quite as hot as some people are thinking. I think one of the challenges that you're going to have, or you have with saying, "Oh, Hackett's got to go," is it's very difficult to point the finger at Hackett when his initial scheme, when Wilson was there, he had wide open receivers that Wilson was just missing. Like it wasn't like it was Shermer, for example, like Pat Shermer, who his scheme had no separation or didn't scheme anyone open whatsoever. But when Hackett had his original scheme, there was wide open receivers. Like KJ Hamler was wide open on a crosser, and Wilson just completely missed him. And that happened multiple times. So I think I totally understand how Broncos country is looking at this and saying this is probably or is a Hackett problem. I understand how they could say that because you always try to blame the head coach. But at the same time, you hired an offensive-minded head coach, and he did his job from a scheme perspective. He got wide receivers to break open and were free. They could have been thrown the ball, and it would have been a successful play. The challenge is Russ, in my opinion, came in and said, I want to be a pocket passer because I would like to have a long career. And I don't want to get hurt.
There's Jacob here. You heard the buzzword. The nipple pictures out. He's ready.
He's like that. What's that? Water boy, Farmer Fred. Or
yeah, Farmer Fred. Yeah.
Game.
You got the right hat for it.
Oh,
there we go. Captain is Farmer Fred.
There he is.
I almost have a hat for every occasion. So
Oh man, yes.
Oh, that was well timed. Good work.
Another day. Yeah, let her play another day.
Yeah. So I think that kind of sums up the. I think that sums up the Chiefs Broncos game. I do think that the next we play you again in
2 weeks.
I think it'll be a tough. I think it'll be a tough matchup. I do wonder whether or not. Pardon me?
It's in Arrowhead though.
It is. It is.
Different vibe.
Yep, it is. So I think it'll be interesting. I still think that'll be a super tough, well fought game on both parts. I do think that it'll be closer, like we saw this past week. It's possible that the Broncos could pull out a win, but I think it's unlikely. I still think that with the home crowd and whatnot behind you, that we're probably done.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens in these.
Again, I'm really not in the fire Hackett camp. I'm really not.
I think you got to at least think about it.
I do too, because
there at least has to be a significant discussion, especially depending on which.
Oh, sure.
coaches.
Of course, it has to be a discussion.
I mean, for sure, offensive coordinator's gone. That dude's out.
Oh, he's got to go.
Yeah.
He's got to go for sure.
But I mean, depending on, because I feel like too, you know some guys, like you have some sense of who's going to be available, but I think there's always 1 to 2 firings of someone you didn't think would be a potential coaching candidate. And so I really feel like this offseason you're going to see something like that happen that's going to like make them reconsider. But I mean, I think you have to be at least with where you thought the season would be and where it's at now. I mean, you gotta pin the problem on someone, right? If you're not going to do it with
I'm
Russ,
not going to fall on the sword.
It's got to
right. But that's what I was saying, right? So if Russ came in and said, "I want to be a pocket passer," and Hackett was effectively told from ownership that we need to work with Russ in terms of what he's looking for and what he wants. So how is that a Hackett problem when he's done exactly what he's been asked to do?
Yeah. No, I mean,
right. Like that's my point.
But that's
right?
what I'm saying, though. I think if you get to that point, then you have to say, okay, do we move on from Russ or do we move on from Hackett? We have to move on from someone.
No, and I think that's the problem, right? I think what the ultimate problem is we know what the problem was, and then we saw what the solution was against the Chiefs, which was Russ is not a pocket passer, so stop trying to pretend like you are one.
Yeah.
And once you get over that, you get what you saw against the Chiefs, which is what appears to be a fairly competent quarterback who's getting his mojo back, at least it appears. And if he can continue that down the stretch through the end of the year, and if Hackett's play calling in terms of like the offensive scheme continues to gel, then why not? Why wouldn't you keep Hackett and just say, Russ, you're not a pocket passer. Hackett, scheme better plays to go back to the way that you wanted to play football. And if Russ continues to play what he's doing now when he played against the Chiefs, he could look really good.
Well, there's also a scenario they both could be back. Let's talk about that, because let's honestly.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Be fair in the situation, the fact that most coaches, especially brand new head coaches, should get at least 2 years to prove themselves.
That's what I was going to ask. How many coaches have been fired after one? I can't think. I'm trying. I know there was one pretty recent, but I can't think of.
Well, your boy in Jacksonville,
the guy in Arizona was fired. The guy in Arizona was fired after 1 year.
And so with Urban Meyer, he was fired after half a season.
Well, yeah, but that was a total dumpster fire.
Well, but that was a given with the way he was crapped out, and then he had this scandal of having some co-ed, Rockets Johnson in a bar.
I think
so.
Urban
I'm
Meyer
sure
was the last one.
Yeah, he
into it.
That was just last year.
Before that was Steve Wilkes of the Cardinals. Chip Kelly was fired after 1 year with 49ers.
49ers? I thought the Eagles.
No, he was the Eagles gave him a full run of GM for like 2 years and let him blow up the roster. And then 49ers were like, hey, we'll give it a shot.
Oh, right. I forgot that he was a 49ers coach. Dang. I totally forgot
So,
about
Jackson, Raiders.
Sorry, we did promise to
there's been Mike White lasted a year with the Raiders. Normally, Al liked to do the waltz. 1-2 fire. 1-2 fire.
Joe Bugel. I don't know that guy.
It's Bugle. Come on, man.
Bugel.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, he went for
Are you kidding me? Are you that name, or are you just doing it?
He's young. He stalled him out.
Who's Bugel?
He wasn't born when Joe Buck was coaching.
Are you that naive, or are you just goading me to jump
No,
on
I wasn't born then.
See?
I wasn't alive. I can't.
Joe Bugle, the greatest, the offensive line coach for the Hawks.
Stuart Braunschweiger was last week. And I'm like, no. Just because they're important to the Raiders doesn't mean I'm going to know who they are.
Joe Bugle was the best offensive line coach in football other than Alex Gibbs of the Broncos. I'll give you some props here, Rich. But he was the line coach for the Hogs when the Redskins were winning Super Bowls. And the fact that who's Joe Bugle?
It's French. It's Bugle. It's French.
Well, he wasn't a good head coach. He went 4-12 in '97, one and done. So,
and there it is.
No, he sucked as a head coach because he was a players coach, and he lost. He didn't lose their locker room. The locker room took him over, and the team sucked. Like I said, I'll tell you like it is. I am a historian that way. And again, though, but like I said, Alex Gibbs, Joe Bugle, probably the best two offensive line coaches in the history of football.
Do you know who the other one is? It kills me to have to say it, is Scarnecchia.
Yeah, Dante is Dante for sure, but I wasn't gonna go out and say that as well because then Alex Gibbons would be say who's screwing the carpet cracker.
Hey, man. Whatever.
So, Captain, before we jump into the week ahead, I do want to, honor what we said earlier in the podcast. A lot of the fans here of the show wanted some information on your new acquisition at guard in Netani Moody.
Eddie, we did talk about that. We did. You must have missed it because I laid in the coach, and coach definitely sidestepped it. So that's the bottom line.
Eddie,
I laid into coach.
I love how you said I sidestepped it when I directly addressed it. So let's cut the crap here.
No, you addressed it after I said you sidestepped it.
It was addressed.
Anyway, it was directly addressed.
The record is full.
It was all sorted.
This issue being addressed.
So it was addressed.
Moving onwards.
And I was talking about the game and what I wanted to get out as far as the game is concerned. I'm not driven by which I want me to talk about. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about, just to be clear. Then I'll get to your questions. So I hope we can get that straight.
Right.
Ooh.
So
that was a little spicy.
So
Taco Bell does not have a sauce that's spicy.
Anyway.
Go ahead.
So we wanted you wanted to talk about the new guard that you guys pulled from the Broncos practice squad.
Fantastic.
If the Raiders fans here in the chat want some information or have specific questions, I'm happy to dive into them. In the meantime,
Sparkler.
He was and has been considered the strongest player on the Broncos roster from a physical strength perspective for like 4 years running now.
How was the T-Rex on a practice squad when y'all have injuries on the O-line already?
See, that was the only question I was going to have. If he was, because he was a dominant player at Fresno State, and he was a fantastic mauler. But why is he on the practice squad? Is what I want to know.
This year, I'm confused. Please help me, Rich.
Pardon me?
Help me, because he played this year.
Yeah,
so
he played against
the Chiefs.
Well.
Right. So he was. I got like 10 guys on the IR, and he's on the practice squad.
I never said that was smart. I just said that was a thing.
And there it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I actually wanted Moody to get called up and promoted. The problem is I think that we signed a few guys in the offseason. And I think the ultimate thing was our GM, like many GMs, asserts themselves to say, I signed the guy, so let's have the guy stay on the roster and play because I signed the guy in the offseason, and I don't want it to show up as like a bust pick, right, that I kind of had there. And the sad part about that is that
he did hit 44 reps at 225, so.
Wow.
What's his wingspan? Hold on. What's his wingspan? Let's look that up.
That's very good.
He's
I call
got
him the
T-Rex
T-Rex.
arms.
That's why.
Now there's your reason why.
All dinosaurs feel the T-Rex.
Yeah, just little
Yeah, but he's playing guard.
No,
No,
you still need the length.
Yeah, I
You
was
still
going to
need the
say,
length.
but it's not as much of a detriment at offensive guard as it is at tackle, which is why Gallery went from tackle to guard, because he had little T-Rex arms too. So it's not as much of a detriment when you have him on the inside, where you can use your brute force to run over people.
Yeah, you're still going against DNs, and most of those guys are much longer arms than he is.
As a
In fact,
guard?
Pardon me?
Well, I mean,
As a guard?
Your typical, NFL defensive lineman is going to be 6'4" with probably a 6'5" wingspan. I mean, and that's the name of the game in the trenches, man. Who gets their hands on first? So,
yes,
you're definitely at a disadvantage.
What's the record?
44 reps.
Combine. 44 reps is a lot.
Pretty sure 44 is the record. I think he tied it.
Okay, he's tied the record at 44.
That too, so
Wow.
let's look real quick.
But back in the day, I could do about 50.
But at the same time, bench press has absolutely nothing to assess a player's ability in football.
No, it does not.
Literally,
it does not.
51 is the record, and that's by Justin Ernst from Eastern Kentucky, 1999.
Wow, 51 reps.
I'm gonna guess he flamed out pretty quick.
I'm sure.
Sorry, Justin Erneste. My bad.
Oh, that's good. It's Creole.
Yeah, it rolls off the tongue like sweet molasses. He's Erneste.
So, Coach, Captain, to your point though, you're right. I mean, shorter arms at the guard position is less of a detriment than, say, at the tackle position, for example, on the line, right?
31 inches.
So yes, I 100%. However, that has actually been a bit of an issue with Moody because in a power blocking scheme, which is what the Broncos were in the last couple of years, you're going dead on against guys with longer arms that can keep you further away from them, so you can't get your block properly. You can't get the chest pads. You can't get the pad level, that kind of stuff. Where I think Moody is going to excel. Pardon me?
He was 5th all time in combine bench press reps.
Which again, you have to remember, that's the span of the combine. That's pretty darn impressive.
But also goes to show you how much bench press does not assess a player's ability, because he was on the practice squad and he's 5th all time in bench press reps.
Well, sure, but then when you actually looked how he played in the game against the Chiefs, he was a standout player.
No, yeah, he whooped the video I saw, and again, only because I didn't know anything about it. The stuff that was on Twitter today was like he was whooping whoever the Chiefs had at those positions. And that's not slamming you, Alex. I'm just saying what I saw. That's all I'm saying.
No, and he has done that several times. So for example, last year we actually used him as a fullback on a couple plays.
Huh?
And if you go back and look at the film from 2021 with the Broncos, he hit a D tackle at with running like ahead of steam, and sent the D tackle probably back about 5 to 6 yards and took him off his feet.
He said, "Get out of here."
So it was literally a get off my lawn moment. It was pretty impressive to see. You don't see that happen very often in the NFL because, these are absolute grown men, and these are, the big boys, like dead center. So it's pretty impressive to see a guy be able to do that. Captain, I do think what you are going to see from Moody is, I believe someone like Josh McDaniels is going to know how to leverage him for his skill sets and try to hide his weaknesses. So I think that you're going to see the Raiders do more motion, mobile style blocking, and that is where he will do well. And because he has the strength and the anchor, he's going to be great in run blocking for you. And someone like Jacobs, for example, will likely want to run behind him.
And this is the comment today, and Mike Sarah gets it. John Simpson, who was immediately cut after the game because he was a 3 or 4 year slug, he replaces him. And even I, at the tender age of could be a better offensive guard at
What was that?
at what? I don't know. How much I weigh? About 258, and then throw some pads on me, and I run the 40 in about a month. But still, I can be a better
That's
guard.
right in line. That's right in line with the intangibles required. So
with a cane, because I'm gonna use the cane when I'm on the field. But even I make a better offensive guard than John Simpson did. So Moody is definitely an upgrade, Mike, and I agree.
Right.
Watch my cane, you damn bastard! Stop messing with my quarterback. I'll use my cane
you're like
on you.
Burt Reynolds in the reboot Longest Yard, right? You can't go out there.
Right. So, anyways, that's kind of Moody. He's wicked strong. He did start developing a lot in the last 2 years, especially under Mike Munchak. You saw some major growth from him, and I was actually expecting to see a little bit more from him this season, but for whatever reason, our coaching staff just never used him. And now, honestly, I think you're going to start seeing what he can do, and I believe the Raiders will likely see him pay dividends, much like Tillery has done for them in their pickup from the waiver wires. I'll speak eventually from the Chargers there. And it's just a matter of utilizing someone and having them fit your team better than the team that they were on. And I think that's what you're going to see with the Raiders and Moody. Moving onwards and upwards to the week ahead, because it is a good thing that we don't have to dwell on games past, especially since the Broncos lost again. Captain, I know you have NFL Nation Live coming up, so I wanted to throw over to you and your thoughts with your upcoming game this weekend and what that might look for you.
Well, we do have the Cheatriots this weekend. It's gonna be, and I think that, and I'm kind of surprised that even though that the Raiders took one in Elcom, I'm really kind of surprised that the NFL flexed this one back to the afternoon or to a 4 o'clock Eastern game. Mike Sarah, he didn't lose us the game, but he definitely effed up. Okay. I said that, Coach. I put it on him for effing up. But anyway, with the Cheatriots on Sunday, and this was the master and the pupil, kind of like Skywalker versus Obi-Wan type stuff.
Yeah, this is
it's always a Belichick versus McDaniel. And I still think that has a lot of glitz. Now, the Raiders, like I said, may get back. May is the operative word. Get back Renfro and Waller. They practiced today. They have up to 21 days to figure out what they want to do with them. Diablo is still out on IR. Oh, they also IR Jayon Brown because I know Coach said something about Jayon Brown earlier. He was low risk, high reward. Well, he definitely will not be a Raider next year because he was about worthless on team this year. But getting a chance to play the Patriots, they did play them in preseason, and they actually and again, I know it's preseason, but they whooped them in preseason. Okay, during the scrimmages though, the Patriots players were actually calling out the plays of what the Raiders were going to run, having known what McDaniels' offense are. So as long as they don't do that again, okay, it'll be a good offshoot of the offense versus the defense. Obviously, McDaniels is an O guy and Belichick as a D guy. The detriment that the Patriots have is they have a defensive coordinator as their offensive coordinator, and they really haven't figured that out yet. I'm sorry, Matt Patricia sucks as both.
Yeah,
but the defense,
sorry to jump in, but I just think it's crazy that with all the issues people make on people getting coaching opportunities and things like that, just blows my mind that somehow the Patriots just swept it under the rug that they had this man who was a defensive coach and then a head coach get fired. And then you know what? They're like, F it. Hey, Patricia, here, why don't you call the offense? He has no offensive background, and nobody bats an eye at it. They're just like, oh, it's the Patriots. Just let them do it. But it just like blows my mind that you know, like in terms of other offensive or like passing game coordinators and people out there that have been in that role forever who like traditionally move up a tier to OC just don't get that opportunity because Belichick just always somehow gets back all the rejects that didn't make it as a head coach.
Right.
And then they just like Joe Judge, I think.
Home today. Yeah, come on. Yeah. But they're splitting duties. Like Patricia's like the O-line coach and he's calling plays, and then Joe Judge is the quarterback's coach and he's calling plays. I'm like, okay. Well.
Yeah. I would love to be a fly on the wall in that earpiece.
Or just the meeting room.
Snap.
I want to be in the meeting room.
Call this. No, call this.
Right.
Guys, call this.
Well, Alex,
I said call this play, and I'm Bill Belichick.
We're running the ball.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Shut up, Joe. We're running the ball.
Well, unfortunately, the one thing you're missing is the reason why Patricia is the offensive coordinator is he has the magic pencil. Which is always behind his ear. So therefore, it looks like he should be able to do anything.
Oh yeah,
he does. He can always take notes. So
he's always got.
I've never seen him move the pencil from his ear to use it, but it's there.
He's there the whole game.
Oh, it's
Microsoft
really
tablets
right?
and Surface tablets. Man, still got a pencil.
Yeah.
Call me props, man. I'm there
really,
for you.
All that Patricia calls is a screen to Stevenson, and I don't think Stevenson's playing, so I don't know what he's going to do now.
So, Captain, is there anything else you're looking, you think you might see with the Patriots-Raiders game aside from kind of what you've already gone into, or do you think it's going to be, a little bit more of the same that you've seen in previous matchups?
I think it's going to be a tight game. Either way, because it's a matter of whether the Raiders offense can outscore the Pats defense. I mean, obviously the team with the most points wins. We're running cover 2 here. Yo, man, we're on offense.
That's probably Patricia's post practice.
That's funny. Yeah. That's hilarious.
But,
cover 2 man, coach. You're on offense. Fine, inside zone. I don't care.
I think it's going to be tight. I just want it to be. I want it to be entertaining because at least I want to go out to Vegas and have a good week. And I'm going to have I got the Blitnikoff event on Friday night. I got the Gators playing on Saturday, so I'm out there to watch my. I'm an alumnus of University of Florida, so I get a chance to see my Gators play on Saturday, and then of course Sunday we get that. Thanks there, Alex. I'm glad you actually know what a Gator chomp is. That's cool. But yeah, it's gonna be a tight weekend. But again, and this is a game where I said it's one of those where it's gonna be a good game. It's not that the Raiders are favored like they were against the Rams and then showed up and played like ass. He has said it twice now that they played like ass, overall. But I think that it's San Diego / LA Chigarglers fans are actually Raiders fans this weekend because taking care of the Patriots is job one for us and I honestly will say this, and this is something good for you, Coach. I actually think that the Chargers are going to squeak into the playoffs this year, which is actually a bad thing for you.
Say what?
I'm based upon the records of the teams that they got going on. I think that the win percentage of the teams they got going is like 40%, and I think that they'll probably slide in with who they got. But I think that's a bad thing because I think that means another year of Staley, which everybody in the AFC West is clapping like, "You go, boy, yeah, you go." But I think it's going to be a good game. I'm not going to make any predictions because the Patriots looked great the last game out. The Raiders did not look great the last game out, but the only advantage is that the Raiders have 10 days of rest. And we'll see if that extra days of preparation and rest will be a benefit to the Raiders in the game on Sunday. Yeah, DZ. I was I think it was 18. I can look it up, but I think it was 1863 when Florida was made a university. I'll look it up in a minute for you, DZ. I'll put it up here.
But the Raiders actually helped themselves because they're only 2 games out of the playoffs. With what, 4 to play, 3 to play?
Yeah, I mean, and that's what people say. You know, the old the Raiders still got a chance. You know, they have like Jim Carrey say, "So you're saying there's a chance?" Yeah, if the Raiders win out,
what was it all that?
If
one
the
of the
Raiders win out, and if if the Chargers lose 2, if the Patriots lose 1, if the Jets lose 1, and there's another team, if all of these things happen,
Jets ain't losing, baby. Mike White, MVP.
And if the Raiders win out, then in theory, the Raiders make the playoffs.
Mathematically.
Yeah, mathematically.
I don't know. I feel like Belichick always has, like, especially the offensive guys that move on. I feel like he's always got them figured out to where he just makes
and that's going to be the advantage that that coach has. But I just don't want to see a horrific game. I want to see would like to see the team that won 3 straight going up against, and instead of that stinker we saw last Thursday night, I want to still see a team that has something to play for. So we'll see.
I think that's fair enough. So, Coach, I'm going to throw it over to you, and we're going to dig into the Chargers game. Speaking of Staley and sticking with Staley and all that other kind of stuff there, what do you think Staley might actually have up his sleeve for this upcoming game, and what do you think we can expect?
Well, 2 big things. Don't let the high of the Dolphins win bring you down and you don't get up for this game. That's a definite possibility. You know, we were so high in emotion against the Dolphins that you can have a letdown here.
We got to shut down Derrick Henry, baby.
I mean, that's the biggest, and that's the next point.
I hope they don't. I need him. For the
no, well, forget you this week, buddy. You're screwed. We trying to F your fantasy team.
All right, you know what? Because I like you, Coach. I just need him to have like 100 yards and a touchdown, but Chargers win by 3. Okay.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I can live with that. But
that's funny.
I would say that for sure that, again, you have to, I guess we would say 3 things. I always think it's Derrick Henry, stopping Derrick Henry, but don't let the emotions of the Dolphins game get in the way of the Titans game. You still have football to play. You have to move on. You have to move on and focus on the Titans. 2, you have to play the Titans as if you know they're down and you need to keep them down. They've lost, I want to say, 3 straight. So, and they're missing their best receiver. So I want to say that don't play with your food, in a sense that if they're playing bad football right now, let's keep it that way. Don't allow them to build any confidence and allow them to get back into, you know, what they like to do, you know, smash mouth, run the ball, you know, get down here with Derrick Henry and then timely pass. So I would say that
I got a bye week in a couple, DZ, but when you're in 5 leagues, you got to some of them you just got to scrape in.
Well, I made the 7th seed in my league. 7th seed is still in, so I'm good. But anyway, and a guy that I'm facing lost Kyler Murray, so I got a leg up.
I did too in one. Mike White, baby. Here we go.
Okay. So yeah, I think that getting, you know, not letting emotions get in the way, keeping the Titans from building any confidence, and ultimately stopping Derrick Henry, stop him before he gets started, and make Tannehill be the one that has to win the game for him. So that's the scouting report for sure. Now, whether we get a few guys back, Derwin is still out from practice. Now, we had a walkthrough today, not a full practice, but he was not present. Sebastian Joseph Day, he was limited. Trey Pipkins was limited. There's still no word on Joey Bosa's return, so that's still up in the air. But Bryce Callahan did practice, so that's positive. So we'll get another solid DB back. But ultimately, you know, what's going to happen up front is going to tell it. Now, if we defend the run like we defended the run against the Dolphins, against the Titans, we'll be just fine. But again, that's an outlier, not a norm. So we have to build on that and understand that the amount of effort it took to stop the Miami's run game, we're gonna need the exact same effort in order for us to get a victory against the Titans. So I would say for sure we need to definitely focus on that and take away their best weapon and a la Bill Belichick, try to make them play left-handed, and make Tannehill be the GOAT, or the
that dude is not a GOAT.
Yeah, when I mean goat, when they say goat in old, I would know this. In the old people's terms, they say that you're the bad apple, in a sense. So I definitely say that if you can make Tannehill the reason for win or loss, then that plays in our hands for sure. So I definitely think that's the biggest and the most glaring need that we need to do is stop Derrick Henry and don't let the emotions get in the way. Play with the same effort or more effort than you had against the Dolphins, against the Titans, because there's still stuff to play for. We still got an option to get to the playoffs, and that's where we want to be. So, and then if we do get there, we'll get completely healthy by then. So, all bets are off then. So we just got to get there. But we got to win one game at a time.
Actually, D said it wasn't Tanya Harding. It was Jeff Galooly, but that's just for the record.
She orchestrated it.
Yeah, she did.
I mean,
true. But for historical purposes, I wanted to make sure that it was known. It was, I believe his name, Jeff Galooly, correct?
I don't know.
That sounds familiar.
I thought Tanya Harding did it herself. I don't know.
No, it was Jeff Galooly and
no, it was her boyfriend at the time or her significant other,
right?
Or something like
Jeff
that.
Galooly,
a person that go at her legs and that, which is very brutal.
Yeah.
Very
Jeff,
brutal.
I'm gonna confirm it before I go over to the show.
So I'll jump into the Cardinals game, and then Alex will throw over to you to talk about your upcoming game.
Jeff Galooly.
Yeah.
There you
go. And folks, I hate doing it, but this is a great segue. Coach, always fun hanging out, talking about your Garglers. I see I did it twice just for you. Alex, always a wonderful gentleman. RichiRichEh, great. This is a fantastic show with the wonderful
the only one who
folks
throws
here.
a jab at is you, Coach.
Huh?
The only one who throws a jab at is you.
Wild West. Make sure you stick on board for the rest of the show. But when it's done, hop on over and talk NFL Nation Live. We'll talk about a lot of good things, gentlemen. And I use the term with reverence. With reverence, gentlemen, have a great rest of your night.
Have a good one.
Yeah, you guys got to stick around for the super secret Raiders content at the end. Then you can go over. That's how you keep them. Breaking Raiders news at the top of the hour here.
Yeah,
so you got to stick around.
So the Broncos are going up against the Cardinals. That's going to be an interesting game.
Colt McCoy cards.
Yep. So I think it's going to be an interesting game. I do think that the Broncos have an opportunity to win this.
They do.
I really do. I think that if we can continue to do some of the same things that we did against the Chiefs defensively, and more importantly, offensively, then I think that there's a legitimate chance that is kind of the sign of things that could have been this season for the Broncos if we had just simply, pieced both defense and offense together this season.
Is Russell still in concussion protocol?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
He plays.
I mean, I'm almost positive he's going to play, but I mean, when you saw his head, that was quite a visual. Like,
in there.
Yeah, like there was no denying. It's like, I didn't hit my head. Really? Why? Do you have the little goose egg to the right? It's like, so I think it's interesting how that happened, but I think he'll be just fine. He did.
Colt McCoy's questionable right now.
Is it?
Per ESPN, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Dang,
when you looked at Russell when he was on the side, though, he definitely looked glazed.
Oh yeah, definitely that.
Trace McSorley might be the Trace McSorley show, or David Blau. David Blau.
Oh, they just picked up David Blau on the practice squad, didn't they?
Hard Knocks hero, baby.
Hard Knocks hero.
Back to the other Hard Knocks. They got the mid-season one right now.
They do. So, but I was
sucks.
on 2 of them.
It sucks. I don't know if you've been watching it, but I feel
haven't.
like the Arizona Cardinals have had several very Hard Knocks worthy moments that they do not cover on the show. You got a severe, like just cutting Eno Benjamin out of nowhere. You know there was some beef with that. No remarks about that.
Right.
You got the coach doing whatever sketch shitty stuff he was doing in Mexico. They don't even talk about that.
Yeah, of course. Yep.
You know, but no, I think that Denver beats them pretty easily.
No.
We don't see how they're going to do any with their secondary. I don't see how, like, you're going to be able to stop James Conner. He's not a one-man wrecking crew, and I just don't see how a Colt McCoy or someone else is going to be able to do anything successful against the Broncos secondary.
Yeah, that's kind of hard. That's kind of hard.
Like, you got to just account for D-Hop. That's how banged up they are, and I just at him being 30 now, I imagine Surtain can do that pretty easily. So that's that's an outsider looking in at it, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's true. The only problem that I have with this is that Denver has struggled so mightily throughout the season, and
it's which offense shows up.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? That's my point.
Or the offense that played, the past 4 weeks before that.
Right, exactly. Right. So, I think that basically sums up the Broncos game. And it's literally, can the defense continue to play well like they have been all season? The odds are likely yes. And then it really comes down to the same thing that we've had to deal with as a Denver fan all season, which is our offense going to remember how to play football? And by offense, I mean Russell Wilson. And
maybe that concussion's what he needed.
Yeah, who knows, right?
2013.
But either way, I think it's really, really interesting. I think that this has potential to show what Wilson probably could have done in the KC game if he can kind of make it throughout and all the way to the end of the game, where he can, if he can start piecing drives together, if he can start kind of scrambling to get out of the pocket to make those plays that he used to do, and kind of show that the KC game was the start of something, not an exception. You know what I mean? And I think that's going to be a really important thing for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah. Not like
and I agree with your
like
assessment.
38-year-old in the NBA who just pops up one game, drops 50, and then you don't hear from him again. And that Russ is hoping it's not that. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. I do want to just quickly get into this question here, Andrew. Thank you for bringing it forward. So I'll give you my answer. Probably, and I think that there's valid reasons to. So you use the word complain. I'm reading that maybe incorrectly as being critical, and I think it's totally okay to be critical of your team and your head coach as a fan or as a fanalist, because you're assessing things in real time. You're looking at the way they're doing things, and nobody's perfect. But if you see them make the same mistakes repeatedly, then I think you're well within your bounds to say, why are you not fixing the thing? So I'm now, if you're saying complain as in, this coach sucks and blah, 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 then, my answer to that is no, because if you've had that much winning, then, there's no need to go down that route.
At some point, the magical run has to end, and then he probably would complain. But, I can't complain if Bill Belichick was a Chiefs head coach and they won 6 trophies. And I know I would, like, all the little stuff he does now that I'm like, God, I hate him. Like, why would just go away? Like, if he was the Chiefs coach, I'd be like, Bill, I love him. So funny. Like, that was that Major League 2. They signed that one guy. He's like, there's Parkman. Drives the women here in Cleveland crazy. He does it again. Makes the women puke.
It's crazy what a new city does for a guy. He's
I like Yeah, DC. I'm reading this little sub combo we got going. That's pretty savage. Have to play Allen.
Yeah,
and the toddler, who's
The
probably
toddler?
even more of a toddler in high school.
The toddler.
Dude, you need to watch him on the Hard Knocks though. Like I really feel like the Cardinals team as a whole hates Kyler Murray. Like it's just constantly like. Then we're like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, you can clearly tell he's like a baby. Like he can't take any criticism. Nothing's his fault. You know.
Okay. Get him his high chair in his bed, huh?
Yeah. Give him a sippy cup.
There you go.
A sippy.
Need a sippy cup. Sippy cup and a binky.
Give him his blankie.
Give him his blankie. Wrap him in a snuggie so we can watch film.
The thing I'm curious to see though is if Judy picks up off of the performance he had really in the second half of the game last week, because I think that was, I mean, obviously I have not followed his career all that closely. I know I took him in fantasy one year and he burnt the hell out of me, so never done that. But I mean, he was what, a 10th overall pick, or something. So I mean.
No, I think he was 15.
I mean, he was up, Judy.
I think he was 15.
Was it that low?
I think he was 15.
I know he was picked first round. We got that. Let's see here. I mean, he's only 23 though, so like.
But he acts like he's 15.
15.
I was right.
Yep, that's it.
I was right. So he just hasn't had a great career really thus far. Someone picked 15th overall at the wide receiver position. Certainly with his accolades coming out, you would have expected more. He struggled.
Taken before Justin Jefferson too.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people kicking themselves because a lot of people went before Justin Jefferson and they're mad at it, including Nelson
Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs went before Judy.
Oh, Jalen Reagor. Jalen Reagor went for Justin Jefferson. Jalen Reagor.
Yep. And CD.
Yeah.
Well, CD Lamb, I kind of get.
Jalen
Reagor went the pick before.
Yeah, exactly.
Before Jefferson.
You don't know how happy they were, as Zimmer and them were, how happy they were when they picked Reagor. They were like, the car went in immediately. They were like, Jefferson
was picked the pick before the Chargers too.
I know. I don't remind me.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the draft. My bad, Richie.
So that's I kind of agree with all your assessments in terms of the Denver game. It's literally a tale of two teams, because the Broncos haven't had an all right offensive performance. They've had a good offensive performance, like against the Chiefs, for example, last week, and they've had a whole bunch of awful. The Denver Broncos really and truly, if we're going to be honest, have not had a mediocre offensive showing. And so it's which team shows up. So I think that'll be an interesting one. So last but not least, we're going to sail on over to the Chiefs game there, Alex. If you want to go ahead and give us your breakdown on your Chiefs and what we might be able to expect, maybe what we should look for, and we can go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I as I was prefaced, I guess, earlier in that I feel like the Chiefs at times play down to people and get bored or like get this complacency where they don't really hit the throttle.
How low do you go when you have to play Kyler then?
Wow, another shot.
I said all that. Like, I think that it's good that they're playing them after coming off the game they did against the Broncos, because I think you'll see them play this a little differently than they probably would if they would have just won 35-0 against Denver. But I mean, got to give the Texans credit for hanging in there and almost beating the Cowboys last week. Who would have thought that?
Right.
But at the end of the day, and objectively speaking, Houston is already a bad team. And they are most definitely not healthy, which only makes them worse.
Is this a trap team?
Dameon Pierce is out. So they're going to be rolling with Yeah, he's expected to miss 3 games with
Oh,
ankle
crap.
sprain. So we're going to be rolling with Rex Burkhead and some other dude. They're going to be rolling with a 1-2 punch at QB of Davis Mills and Jeff Drixel. Little fantasy insight. If you're on Yahoo, Drixel is labeled as both a tight end and QB. So I am riding heavy with him on tight end because they put him in the red zone to run in touchdowns. So
Hold on.
Poor man's Taysom Hill here.
Hold the phone.
Oh, I saw it last night at like 11:30, and I was like, wait a minute. It
Hold
says
on.
Jeff Drixel. I was like, but it says tight end and QB. And then I look at he had like 12 points last week, and I was like, this might be it. This might get me over the top.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
right.
you heard it here first. I think it's only on Yahoo.
And
ESPN doesn't do it.
and
Poor man's Taysom, baby.
that's
Look
it.
But
That's it. Wow.
so that's going to be interesting because they've been putting them in like they're doing this 2 QB thing. Obviously, Davis
He had
Mills.
11 points last week.
That's what I'm saying. They put him in to run the ball in the red zone. Like this is
we might.
it's a little honey hole. It's a little honey hole.
It is. F. Tyler Conklin. We'll grab Jeff Driscoll, baby.
I literally saw this last night. It was like I could not believe what was before.
Alex, you're the man.
Especially because in the 2 leagues I'm riding with them, I needed a tight end. I had Higbee.
I
had Pitts. I
haven't got the tight end position right all year except for Dalton Schultz. I got 3 leagues, and my tight ends have been crap all year. And this might be the one.
So, yeah, there you go. Go look at it because
I'm already on it.
But yeah, I'll wear it if he burns all of us. But just know if he burns you guys, he's burning me too.
Well,
so.
he might do. I think he'll do better than Tyler Conklin's going to do. So I'll live with
Well,
it.
I actually think that Dulcich for the Broncos is going to have a game against the Cardinals.
If he was
But
available,
the thing is Dulcich was scooped up. Dulcich was a hot commodity like 4 weeks ago. So
Exactly.
he's not going to be out there. I have him in a couple leagues, and I've been playing him. But these are the ones where I'm like bottom of the barrel. I had Goddard get hurt, someone else. But so that's going to be an interesting component, though, to see with the Texans not having their one solid offensive piece in Pierce out there, or at least is not looking that way. On top of that, I mean, Tunsil, Derek Stingley, Brandon Cooks, pretty much anyone that you would recognize their name did not practice this, at least as of the reports put out today. Meanwhile, everyone except for Tony was a full participant at practice for KC, so they're kind of getting healthier. I mean, that's kind of been, I guess, a thing put to the wayside. And looking at the Chiefs games, at least the last 3 to 4. They've been pretty banged up in their receiving room. So I think that's going to be kind of an interesting thing to watch out for as they get healthier going into the playoffs. Because, I mean, they should win this game. They should win it pretty easily. And by winning this game, they secure the AFC West title and at the very least a top 3 spot in the playoffs. Yeah, he's going ham now.
Yeah,
Alex, you can blame your dog all you want. We know that your other hand is squeaking the squeaky toy.
It's just me making you guys think I have people around me.
Yeah. I have dogs. I swear.
You might get him up here. I don't want to get any attention. But I think that they should win. Texans are just too banged up.
Are they going to cover the spread for my own betting selfish purposes?
It's a 14-point spread. They had a 9.1 against the Broncos, which I would have thought for sure they would have locked in.
They got me good.
Definitely started out that way, but I just don't see. I don't know. I mean, they're going to win. I think that they're going to just roll out. You're going to see them come out pretty quick, like they did against Denver, and it's going to be 24-0 pretty fast. Then the real question is going to be, do they hit the brakes to let it become 24-16 with 2 minutes left, or do they put a little bit more on? But I mean, either way, I can't objectively say I have any reservation that they're going to win or that the Texans would win. It's not a game that I'm worried about when you just match match up the rosters on paper. Also considering who's banged up for the Texans are, arguably their key contributors. Chiefs defense for some noted issues with the secondary. They've been getting a lot of pressure on QBs. I mean, it had 6 sacks against Denver. Granted, banged up offensive line, but I don't see Houston having a better offensive line than what Denver put out there. And there you go. How am I making those noises, huh?
I don't know.
But he's pissed. He's like, I'm here, boy. I even not having Tunsil out there, who's a top tier left tackle, but you take Tunsil out of the equation. I mean, Chiefs defense is going to be pressuring whoever. I just hope that it's Davis Mills such to put in Driscoll to where he has to play the whole game from my tight end spot. So there we go. What's a soundboard? Well, here's one of them. Maybe. No, I'm not doing that. They're too big.
So I think this week is going to be an interesting week for the AFC West because I think there's some, Alex, as you hinted at it.
There he is.
There we go.
That's not the one that's barking, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think as you hinted at it, like this is a critical week for the Chiefs to kind of lock in and solidify themselves into postseason, as well as the AFC West title. I think that the Chargers and Raiders in particular, for their games, it's a kind of a critical one for both because, the Raiders need to win if they're going to even want to try to keep playoff hopes alive. And I think, again, the Chargers are in a similar position or close to similar position to the Raiders where they need to keep winning in order to ensure themselves a kind of a playoff spot as well. And I just think the Broncos, while we're obviously well out of any form of playoff contention, I think that this is our opportunity as a team to fix what needs fixing in terms of our offense. And if we can start stacking games and go into the offseason, having won a few and put up some much better offensive performances, one, I think that could well save Hackett's job. And two, I also think that shows that the offseason acquisitions were not all for naught. And I think all of our teams just have a little bit of something different to play for, to show out for, etc.
Who the Chargers got coming like with the rest of their schedule here?
Oh,
I mean, I know they got KC one more time, but are they
no, we played twice already.
Or I meant the Broncos. My bad.
Okay.
I mean, they do play the Chargers. So they got realistically the Broncos should get these next 2 wins, and I think that's your measuring stick of is things going on the right track, and do you keep the combo of Hackett and Wilson around, and then see if you're competitive in the AFC West games because you got to close out with Chiefs and then Chargers at home.
Yep. No, 100%. But see, to me, I think the next 2 games are definitely or should be or could be winnable. But I also think where it will really drive home is if Denver is able to beat one of the Chargers or Chiefs, because that would be proof that
At the same time, though, that is week 17 and 18 when potential teams are clinched playoff spots and might be a game they don't care about.
You're just hurting draft position at that point.
It's possible.
But, yeah.
It's possible. But either way, it doesn't look good even for your coach to not look competitive against a division rival because they're a division rival.
Yeah, but I mean, like Mahomes' rookie year, Chiefs were clinched the number 1 seed, sat their whole starting offense and let Mahomes start against the Broncos, a division rival.
And he won.
Yeah, I mean, that was when I remember very first throw. I was like, "Oh wow, this guy's legit."
It's pretty.
It was because it was Demetrius Harris was like kind of washed out tight end. It was a basketball player. Mahomes like just hit him in the hands on like a 25-yard like dart down the seam, and Harris like was like, "What the hell is this?" Like, and I was like, "Oh wow, okay."
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think overall we've kind of covered all the meat and potatoes and stuff coming up and all that good stuff. So I think with that, guys, that's about gonna do it for the show today. We've had a wonderful time. Thank you all for joining us. For those of you who joined in later or are going to join us after the fact, thank you very much for joining. Click those like buttons, and if you have any questions or comments, please go ahead and leave those below. We'll do our best to get back to you.
Drew.
Better late than never, Andrew. I mean, you're right on time, my man.
Both bros.
And I do have to ask, do you have one of those weird shirts on again, or are we going more normal now?
Look at his avatar. He's dressed to the nines in his avatar now. Don't get
well, yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. So, anyways, guys, thank you very much for joining us. Until next week, where I promise I will have actual stuff.
We want the White Goodman painting. Bull by the horns, man.
There you go. Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
Maybe a squat rack behind you, too, just in case you need to hit a couple reps, you know.
There you go.
Well, guys, until next week, peace.